Hello friends, welcome to our next unboxing. This is the second one we're going to catch on camera, and ironically some of the first stuff that I bought. If you've taken all the time to read my long how I came at this story, I began with a few sets on eBay that were a good price, but were made prohibitive by the shipping costs. And so I asked the seller if they'd be willing to send it within Japan for less, and they said yes. I happen to have some friends in Japan. A very good friend of mine in Kyoto said he'd be willing to receive the package, and then I sent him 4. And he has he's packed them so nicely. Oh my gosh, they're just very smart. Actually, packing the bowls separately from the stones is really actually key, especially when you're doing sea mail. Having an object that's fragile on the outside but incredibly dense on the inside makes for very easily broken bowls. So wrapping the bowls separately and then wrapping the stone separately is a really smart move for international shipping. So here, for example, are some stones. I think what we have in here are 3 or 4 sets of bowls and stones. I think they're all going to be pretty basic. Slate and shell, chestnut. I don't know if any of them are that thick. Maybe there's some 32s or 34s. But we'll see what we got. Ooh, it's better than I thought would be in here. So this isn't chestnut, this is quince, or Indian rosewood. In Japanese it's karin. And some extra large set of bowls. I'm going to mate right here. And a really nice dark red color. They do get darker with age. They can be really bright red when they are freshly cut and then sort of become brown over time. But it's a very nice wood. And these look like they're in very good shape. You can get them new, of course. They'll run you about $200. The lid's wrapped separately from the bowls as well, so they're not clanking into each other. It's really nice, a really nice touch in packing. So that's nice to see. We're starting off really nicely. I'm pretty happy with that. The funny thing about all these sets of equipment is I purchased them about a half a year ago, and so at this point I have completely forgotten half of what I purchased. I'll come back to that one in a second. But I was kind of curious if there were stones that go with those bowls. I guess we'll come back to it. So some of the stuff I remember that I bought, and some I don't. I believe this is sort of a new in its original box set of stones. Got the size marker there on the front, so it gives us the, if these are the stones that go with this original box, then they are size 35 utility. So standard Jitsuyo stones. And this confirms it here on the interior of the box, the white clamshell, regular grade, size 35, and then the slate. The slate is all slate, doesn't have grades. But it's not uncommon to find someone selling stones in a box that they didn't come from. These do feel like they filled the boxes out pretty full, but you will run into people selling really thin in stones in boxes that say they're 35, but you can just by looking at the stones, you can tell that that's not the case. I do think it is the case, but just to make sure, you can measure them. Our white stones, inches. Oh, that's not helpful. Fractions, no. Sarah got me this. She's the sweetest. So yeah. 9.85, 9.81, 9.82, 9.85. So that's pretty much it. Size 35. If they were one full centimeter, they'd be size 36. Size 35 is kind of an in-between denotations. Not as small as 34s, which are 9.5, but not quite something that you can call 36 either. Now the stones should be over a centimeter because they should be just slightly thicker. 10.08, 10.21, 10.25, 10.3. So a nice set of slate and shelf stones. Just keep these on. I think that is the one that I did spend the most on. As you get into thicker stones, as you get into better patterns on them, you do get more pricey. Nice lines, but pretty dirty. Might not show on camera, but you definitely need a good wash. Just soap and water. You only need a few dabs of, if you got really concentrated soap like dish soap, just a few drips of soap to make some soapy water to soak those in just briefly. And then if there's a lot of grit, then a plastic brush like a toothbrush, something like that, to help get off any really tough spots. And that's a good thing to do even if you're not going to soak them in hydrogen peroxide, but we have that too. Speaking of which, a quick tip, if you've done this before, or if you have an old bottle, one thing is that hydrogen peroxide does expire. It does denature over time. So if you've got an old bottle, here's something you can do with it. It's just cut the top off, and this can be the little bath that the stones go in. Just a regular 1 quart, 32 ounce, 1 liter bottle will hold pretty much up to size 38 stones if you get a nice cut near the top. So that's what I've been doing to reuse my bottles. Let's see what's next. I got this. Now what's on deck? So good. All right, we'll put this on deck. All right. This feels like a full set of bowls with stones. I do like to reuse all this wrapping paper. So if you receive something from me, it is 100% reused by me. I don't think I've ever bought tape. Everything but tape, I guess. The boxes, the bubble wrap. If bowls come with handkerchiefs, I'll even send those along. Ooh, Keyaki bowls. I thought these were all chestnut. This is actually a pretty nice surprise. So Keyaki is, I would say, one of the sort of mid-tier woods, along with cherry and boxwood and oak. And chestnut is near the bottom, with it's not as cheap as resin, but it is, I think, the best looking for the lowest price. That's just because of how common chestnut is in comparison with the other woods. It's just a little bit easier to get hold of. I think it's still a gorgeous wood, especially when you darken it a little bit, either through oiling it or applying some kind of tinted varnish. I find that when you polish wax into chestnut, especially with steel wool, the grains really do become very distinct. There's sort of a gorgeous symmetry to it that pairs very well with game. Oh, we should go into the stones. So let's see what's in here, because these clearly didn't come with the box. Black stones and white. Really nice lines on those lids. Maybe it is oak. Keyaki or oak. Again, the difference between keyaki and oak and cherry are slight, depending on the tree it was taken from, but sometimes they're very distinctive. There's nice lines on these stones. Again, 9.8. 9.8 says there's also 35, 9.9. And black. Centimeter, 9.8. Usually you want them 9.85, 9.7. Usually you want the black stones to be just slightly thicker than the white, because when they're on the board together, the white are going to appear larger, and that's just optical illusion. The white are shinier, and so if they're actually made the same size as these are, there's something subtly off when you look at it, because the white stones appear larger. For the same reason that when you have a board for actual play in person, it's slightly longer in one dimension because you're sitting on the end, your opponent's sitting on the other end, so you're looking across the board, and your eyes will naturally foreshorten it. So if you make the squares square, then they look really not square from the end. So in order to make it all work, I'd recommend, like, it's not a lot, but 0.3 millimeters is pretty standard. If you have 9.8, probably 10.1. It's pretty subtle. That about 3 millimeters seems to be what others have done. I haven't tried different pairings myself. It just happens to be what most pairings tend to look like. Is that chestnut? Feels like a dark. It's a dark wood. What is that? It's either varnished or it's heavy, like ebony is, but I don't think that's ebony. Maybe it's rosewood. Stones with a really nice yellow patina on them that sometimes indicate Suabute stones. You have to put a light behind them, but could just be they could be from a smoking home or a go club. Yellow can be a sign of smoke damage. These are actually quite nice. Very straight lines. Oak, or with the dark stain and a lot of time to age. Maybe rosewood. It's hard to tell. Maybe if we clean them up a bit. There's almost like some purple ones in the bottom. Really a dark colored wood. Let's see if we can find its mate in here. Why did I think? Yeah, I've completely forgotten everything I shipped myself. Everything I shipped is shrouded in chaos. 3 months is a long time to be on the ocean. Ooh, and sometimes that has consequences. So I don't remember if this bowl is cracked when I bought it, but it's cracked now. Maybe that'll give us some insight into the wood. So that will probably be, it doesn't look that bad. It's just along the side, it hasn't gotten into the bottom yet. So, a bit of wood glue, some clamps, and we will put that back together. Might have to do a tiny bit of work. Some scratches on the outside there. This bowl's been through a bit, but I think it can be recovered. It's a nice set. Let's see what the stones are. 7.5. But a size 25? 28. 28, yeah. Yeah, size 20. 7.6. 7.9. So not quite 8. Not quite at 8 millimeters. That's size 30. 30, yeah. But they don't really do in between sizes down this, so you don't see anyone marking something 29 or 27. Really, until you get to 30, there's not a whole lot of delineation. Nice if you like your stones to sit flat, they're easier to handle. This would be a nice set. And it's easy to come up with spares for a size like this because they do chip pretty frequently. You get into some incomplete sets and got a lot of extra small stuff. So if this isn't 180, I'm pretty sure I can find not just pieces to bring it up to a full set, but also ones that have a similar patina. So that's those. That's a little bit of space. And let's move on. One last container. Woo. Thank you, Van. I love this. French fry box. You truly can ship anything in anything. Except a ginger beer box, apparently. I'm kind of sore about that. We lost a whole shipment over ginger beer, which isn't even real beer. It's soda. Anyway. Just some books. Easily replaceable. Japanese manga. Oh, which, I mean, if that's what you're after, I'm not limiting myself to sourcing pro equipment. Actually, found a copy of one of my favorite movies. Gave that away as a Christmas present. The Woodsman and the Rain. If you can find it with subtitles, would love an English copy with subtitles. Happy to pay for it. Ooh, not chestnut either. My mind is blown. Very similar stones, very similar thickness and patina. These look more of a hamaguri. You can really see the the lines. Really dirty. Fantastically dirty. Like left out in the shed for way too long, but like only on the top, so something was dripping on it. Yeah, hopefully I'm not cursed at this point. I think this was left on somebody's grandpa's shed or something for a really long time. Whew. I think we're looking at more oak or quince. Yeah, I put quince up there with cherry and oak, keyaki, and sort of a mid-tier. Something that you're going to spend, I don't know, upwards of $200 on if you want to get a new set fresh off the lathe. About half that for chestnut. Not quite half, just under, maybe 60% that for chestnut. But for my money, like a nice oak. It was delightful. Love that cut on the bottom. It's a bit of a pain to clean and wax, but it does seem to just sit better. Kind of like a navel on a board. Creates a place for the wood to stretch just slightly without cracking. So over time, the kinds of cracks you see in bowls do have a lot to do with how they're constructed, what kind of wood they are, if they're ever treated, if it's just varnish when they're created, or if they're oiled. Hey sweetheart, we're doing an unboxing video. .2, 8.2. These look like size 30.
Hello, 8. Unboxing video.
Unboxing video. It's Sarah. And when this is over, we're going to celebrate by making a cake. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. Maybe a closer view on those. Looks a little bit like quince, a little bit like oak. You can see it's sort of halfway between these. I got much nicer bowls than I remembered. For some reason I remembered most of these stones being like size 30, but there's two size 35s, 130 and 120. Than I remembered. Overall, it's a delight. Only one bowl showed up cracked out of 8, which it happens. It happens, especially when the thing's on the ocean for 3 months. But I'm pretty pleased. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. It'll take me maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks to get all this fully, at least the stones, fully cleaned up. Just following the care instructions I have, you can go to our store and Store.Baduk.Club /pages/care, or just go to our Store.Baduk.Club, scroll to the bottom. I've got a link to our care instructions, and that'll walk you through how to clean up stones that really need it. Sometimes if the stones are pretty clean, I don't bother soaking them in hydrogen peroxide, just soap and water. Some of them I know are going to need a scrub. And some of them, sometimes I don't soak them. depending on how the patina looks. Some people like those, dark yellow lines, sort of show signs of age. You are playing with potentially an antique, at least something that's vintage, but in many cases, probably an antique. And so, letting it look its age has a fun appeal to it. I do like protecting the bowls, so ones that need to be cleaned up, especially, I will clean up and then reapply a wax paste to, if not have to do more for them. If it's a set of bowls that's never been oiled, like if you run into a really light colored keyaki, green chestnut, those have just been varnished right off the wheel, so I might even sand those and then apply oil, or just go straight to the waste wax paste, which has linseed oil in it. I've got some bigger ones. Finally finished the linseed oil project, which will probably be my last big project before tax season starts. And I had a lot of fun with that, and I've got some big tins, so if you've got a big project, I'll have those available on the website very, very soon. Okay, that's it for now. We'll come back once we got that cake in the oven, or out of the oven, or you know what I mean. See you in a second. Here's our finished product. Cakes inspired by
The Secret Life
The
of
Secret Life of Walter
Mitty.
Mitty, the recent remake.
Yeah.
Which is probably better than the original.
It was way cuter than I thought it was gonna be. Saul sold me on the movie with the scene of a drunken helicopter ride.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Ben Stiller is less weird than he usually is.
All right. We'll have finished product pictures tomorrow.